Hey, James. The question of proof for God's existence has really been on my mind. Everyone always asks, can you prove God exists? But I think the video makes a good point about it.
Absolutely, Emma. It's such a fundamental question, isn't it? We often demand absolute proof, but that's incredibly rare outside of pure logic. Even in a courtroom, they don't demand absolute proof. They look to dispel reasonable doubt.
Right. Yeah, that's super interesting. So it's not about having a perfect, undeniable equation then. It's more about weighing the evidence. I always thought proof was proof.
Precisely. And the video really drives home that point about intent. Encountering facts and actually accepting them are profoundly different. If someone is determined to disbelieve, no amount of proof will convince them.
So a certain amount of faith, a willingness to consider, is actually necessary, even if it's not just about logical arguments?
Exactly. It's not just about God, it's how we approach so much in life. This sets the stage for how we interpret not only logical arguments, but also our own human experiences.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not just about, logical arguments then, but also about human experience? Like, how does that fit in?
Excellent question. The video argues, quite rightly I think, that while logical arguments have their place, we humans don't typically start with a completely blank slate, devoid of all perspective. We interpret life based on the world around us, our personal experiences. So when considering God's existence, it only makes sense to start with those experiences, and then, use logic to assess them.
Huh, I never thought of it that way. So, like our innate sense of morality, or just seeing the design in the world around us, those are experiences that point to something more?
Precisely. Our innate sense of morality, the apparent design of the universe, and even just, the concepts of truth, love, hate, goodness, evil, we universally accept these as real and meaningful. The overwhelming majority of people throughout history have been inclined to believe in a reality greater than the physical. These experiences aren't conclusive proof, mind you, but they are certainly powerful invitations from God, urging us to seek further answers, don't you think?
Yeah, that's fair. It's like these things just resonate, But then when we do get to the logical arguments, what are some of the most compelling ones you've come across from the video?
Right, so logically, there are three really powerful suggestions for God's existence: the cosmological, the teleological, and the moral arguments. The cosmological argument, for instance, it's all about cause and effect. Everything has a cause, and that cause, in turn, is the effect of a prior cause. But that chain can't go on infinitely, can it? Otherwise, it would never actually start.
So there has to be a first cause then, something that didn't have a cause itself?
Exactly. Logic demands something eternally existent that wasn't itself caused. And our universe, as science tells us, clearly isn't eternal or uncaused. It had a beginning, the Big Bang. So logic points to God, the uncreated, eternal measure of all other things, the first cause of our reality. It's quite astounding when you really think about it.
And that leads us quite nicely into the teleological argument, which examines the incredible structure of the universe. I mean, from the largest galactic configurations down to our solar system, our very DNA, even subatomic particles, everything just gives this appearance of having been purposefully arranged, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've definitely seen documentaries about how precise everything has to be for life to even exist. It's mind-boggling, like the universal constants and all that.
Precisely. Dozens of universal constants coordinate with mind-boggling precision just to make life possible, let alone actual. Science hasn't observed life arising from non-life, and it also shows a sudden onset of complex organisms. The weight of this evidence, logically, it just favors the idea of an intelligent designer, God, as an explanation. And then there's the moral argument.
Oh, right, the moral argument. We talked about that earlier, how humans just seem to have this innate sense of right and wrong, good and evil.
Indeed. Moral principles are drastically disconnected from the ruthless, selfish reasoning one might expect of a creature randomly evolved to survive at any cost. The very idea that human beings think in non-physical moral terms is striking, and the fundamental content of human morals, it remains constant throughout history and across cultures. This leads us to a crossroads. Either moral ideas are completely subjective and therefore meaningless, or they must be grounded in some unchanging standard, a real moral law provided by a moral lawgiver, or God.
So the science and history aspects also lend support, you're saying?
Absolutely. The Big Bang Theory, for example, it lends scientific validity to a created, non-eternal universe, aligning with biblical accounts. Similarly, the structure of DNA suggests intelligent design rather than random chance. Archaeology has repeatedly confirmed biblical people, events, and places, often after skeptics dismiss them as fictional, which is quite fascinating.
Wow. So even like secular discoveries are backing up the historical accounts in the Bible?
Precisely. And Judeo-Christian influence on culture, morality, human rights, and the very birth of modern science itself also strongly indicates an approach aligned with truth. But Emma, for most people, the existence of God is demonstrated most profoundly in personal experience. You might not be able to prove to others that you're happy, for instance, but that doesn't change the fact that you are. Complex truths are often powerfully supported by individual experiences, changed lives, reformed attitudes, answers to prayer. Those who sincerely seek God will find Him, resulting in the abiding presence of the Holy Spirit. It's not a blind faith leap into the dark, but a trusting step out of the dark into a well-lit room where many things are made clear.
James, that makes a lot of sense about how personal experience lights things up. But for someone still wrestling with the core question, is there really a God? What's the most direct, overarching answer, especially from a biblical perspective?
That's precisely where we turn to the Bible's clear teaching. It asserts God is real, evidenced in creation itself. As Romans 1:20 states, His eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, so that people are without excuse. There's also an innate awareness of Him in the human heart. Like Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, He has also set eternity in the human heart.
So it's not just intellectual arguments, but this inherent sense and the world around us, too. That ties into what we discussed about human experience.
Indeed, and critically, faith isn't blind, it's trust based on evidence. The greatest proof is presented in the resurrection of Jesus. 1 Corinthians 15:3-8 records His death, burial, resurrection, and appearances to many witnesses. This, along with creation and our conscience, forms a powerful testimony. Ultimately, God invites us to seek Him, promising, as Jeremiah 29:13 puts it, "You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart."
Wow, that really brings all the threads together. The logic, the experience, and the historical claims, culminating in a personal invitation. It truly solidifies the framework.